Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the sources you give us and really pull out the insights you need.
Yeah, we dig in deep.
So today, we're looking at something lots of us think about.
Right.
How do you actually build, lasting wealth?
Right. And our source for this is The Next Millionaire Next Door, Enduring Strategies for Building Wealth. It's by Thomas J. Stanley and Sarah Stanley Falla.
It's a follow-up, actually, to that classic book, The Millionaire Next Door. It looks at whether those old strategies still work, after 20 years of huge changes, economic, tech, everything.
Exactly. And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to find those actionable things, the stuff you can actually use in your life wherever you are financially.
Yeah, this isn't about get-rich-quick
Yeah,
fantasy.
no, definitely not. It's about the proven habits, the things that actually lead to financial independence over time, sustainable stuff.
Okay, so let's get into it. One of the first things, and this was big in the original book too, is that the basic way people become these millionaires next door, well, it hasn't really changed much.
That's right. It's almost like a timeless math problem. Despite all the ups and downs of the economy, new technology, different trends, the basic way to build wealth,
Yeah.
it stayed pretty much the same.
And it comes down to something that sounds almost too simple.
It does. It's just consistently living below your means,
Mm.
spending less than you earn regularly.
It sounds easy, but man, there are so many things pulling us the other way, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. See it everywhere online, people showing off the latest phone, the new car. There's this, constant push to upgrade.
Yeah, the trading up thing, it's hard not to feel like you should be doing that too.
That's the trap. The book really points out how that mindset, whether it was status symbols back then or, the perfect Instagram life now,
Mm-hmm.
it just eats away at that gap.
The gap between earning and spending.
Exactly. That gap is where wealth actually grows from. Even if it starts small, over time, that's the engine.
But the book does acknowledge things have changed, right? Like healthcare costs, education, those are way bigger hurdles now.
That's a really important point they make, yeah. Those rising costs mean you have to be more deliberate about your career choices, your lifestyle.
The old paths don't necessarily lead to the same place anymore.
Right. You need more intention, more strategic thinking than maybe previous generations did.
Okay, so what about the criticism? People saying the original book success stories were just because of, like, the dot-com boom or something, that it wasn't really about habits.
Yeah, that's a fair question. And this new research really addresses that directly. The data. It overwhelmingly shows it is the behaviors, the habits, the lifestyle choices. Those are the main drivers.
And it's not tied to a specific boom.
Not really, no. What's really interesting is they see these same traits in people who aren't high earners but are still successfully building wealth. It really shows it's about applying the principles, whatever the economy's doing.
Huh. So it really is less about the paycheck size and more about what you do with it.
Precisely.
And speaking of who these people are, the book has some pretty surprising stats, doesn't it? About how they got there.
Oh yeah, get this. The vast majority, something like 80 to 86% of millionaires are self-made.
Wow, 80 to 86%.
Yep. Still holds true from the original research.
Hmm.
We're not talking mostly about inherited fortunes here.
That really flips the common picture, doesn't it?
It does. And, historically, the number of self-made wealthy people has actually gone up. Like, Forbes data showed it went from maybe 38% in the early 80s to 70% by 2012.
So it's becoming more common in a way.
It suggests the possibility is very real, yeah, through your own efforts.
So what kinds of backgrounds do they come from? Are we talking silver spoons here?
Often, no. Quite the opposite, actually.
Okay.
A lot of these self-made millionaires had dads who were like blue-collar workers, small business owners, farmers.
Like not like doctors or CEOs.
Fewer of those, yeah. It's interesting. A much smaller percentage had fathers who were senior execs or physicians.
That is eye-opening. What about their parents' education? Did they all go to college?
Again, might surprise you. A lot of the millionaires' parents didn't have college degrees. And a good chunk of the millionaires themselves, they paid for their own college.
Wow. So a lot of drive there.
Definitely suggests that, yeah. Personal responsibility.
And they didn't all start rich either.
Not at all. A big percentage started their careers with basically zero net worth. Or even negative net worth, debt.
So they built it from the ground up.
Pretty much, yeah. Through that consistent effort and sticking to those core ideas we talked about.
And inheritance, the thing everyone assumes is the fast track.
Yeah, the data just doesn't back that up. Most millionaires said they got very little or even nothing from inheritances or trusts or gifts in the year they were surveyed.
So their wealth really is from their own actions.
It strongly points that way, yes. their own habits and decisions.
This paints such a different picture. It sounds like being frugal and actually budgeting, those must be huge
Oh,
factors.
absolutely critical. The book says over 60% of millionaires see frugality as like a key reason for their success.
It's a deliberate choice, not just luck.
Exactly. A consistent pattern.
And it's not about, like, living like a monk, is it? It's more being really thoughtful about spending.
Precisely. They give some real examples, like the most they'd ever spent on jeans. Around $50. Sunglasses. Maybe $150. A watch. $300-ish.
Okay, so not exactly luxury brand territory.
Not at all. It's not about flashy lifestyles.
And they don't get caught up in consumer hype, like Black Friday.
Right. Good example. Something like 77% haven't even been in a store on Black Friday in the last 5 years.
Wow.
They're just not driven by that impulse buying, that sort of, conspicuous consumption. It's what the book calls social indifference.
Okay, what about cars? Those are often big status things. What do they drive?
Well, often it's reliable, practical stuff like Toyotas, Hondas, maybe Fords. And often the cars are a few years old.
Not brand new off the lot every year.
No. The average they paid for their most recent car was around $35,000. And the most they had ever spent on one was typically under $40,000.
Again, very practical. Value over flash.
Yeah.
Exactly. Functionality, value. Not making a statement.
And it sounds like they actually know where their money goes. Like they track it.
Absolutely. A full 70% know what they spend each year on basics. Food, clothes, housing.
70%.
Yeah. And almost 60% say they've always been frugal. It wasn't something they just started doing. It's often a lifelong thing.
So frugality here means like a simple economical life, spending less than you earn consistently.
That's the core of it. And it takes discipline for sure.
And that social indifference you mentioned, can you explain that a bit more? It sounds important.
It really is key. Social indifference basically means you're not overly worried about what other people are buying, driving, wearing, you know?
So not feeling pressured to keep up.
Exactly that. Resisting that constant societal drumbeat to buy more, get the next new thing, just to fit in or look good. It's not about being antisocial. It's just being sort of immune to the trend chasing.
And the research shows a really strong link between that indifference and your ability to build wealth over time. It doesn't matter how old you are or how much you make.
So while your neighbor gets a new leased luxury car,
The person with high social indifference is perfectly happy with their reliable, paid-off Honda. Makes sense, doesn't it?
it really does. So for people listening, they want to start building wealth or maybe just get better control. What are the actionable things? What can you actually do?
Okay, yeah, let's break down some practical steps. First, and this is huge, develop a detailed budget. You absolutely have to know where your money is going.
Got to track it.
You do. The book makes it clear, even millionaires who didn't necessarily have massive incomes, they tracked meticulously. Use an app, a spreadsheet, a notebook, whatever works for you. Just do it consistently.
Right. You can't manage what you don't measure. Okay, what's step 2?
Second, cultivate frugal habits consistently. This isn't just like clipping a coupon now and then. It's making it part of how you live.
Needs versus wants.
Exactly. Prioritize needs. Question your purchases. Ask yourself, do I really need this or do I just want it? Am I buying this for me or to impress someone else? Think back to those spending examples, $50 jeans, $300 watch. It's about being sensible, value conscious.
It's a mindset shift, isn't it? Long-term value over short-term gratification.
Absolutely. Third, actively work to increase your savings rate. Aim higher.
Save more.
Yeah. The book gives that example of the Jacobsons living on one income, saving the other. And when they got raises, they saved more, didn't just spend more.
Right.
The suggestion is maybe aim for at least 15%, especially if you're also paying off debt.
Yeah.
The more you save consistently, well, that's where compounding comes in.
Ah, yes, compounding. Can you explain that simply?
Sure, think of it like planting one seed. It grows into a tree. That tree drops more seeds, which grow into more trees. Your money, when saved and invested, can grow like that over time, earning returns, and then those returns start earning their own returns. It snowballs.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. More trees from seeds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which leads us back to number 4. Be socially indifferent. We talked about this. Make that conscious choice to ignore the noise.
Tune out the keeping up with the Joneses stuff.
Right. Don't feel pressured to buy what everyone else has.
Right.
The book is super clear. Resisting that pressure is a huge predictor of building wealth long term.
Yeah.
Put blinders on to the consumer race. Focus on your path.
Okay. 5th.
Fifth, make a deliberate effort to focus on net worth, not just income. Understand that difference.
Income is what comes in, net worth is what you keep and grow.
Perfect. Net worth is your assets, savings, investments, property minus your liabilities, your debts. Wealth building is about growing that net worth number steadily. You can have a high income, but if you spend it all.
Your net worth doesn't grow. Crucial point. What else?
Sixth, explore and develop multiple income streams. Side hustles.
Moonlighting.
Yeah. The book notes nearly a third of working Americans do this, generate extra income outside their main job. It's a classic millionaire next door move.
And it's probably easier now than ever, right? With tech.
Way easier. Think about skills you have, hobbies you could monetize, stuff you could sell online. Be resourceful. Don't rely just on the one paycheck if you can help it.
Good advice. Number 7.
Seventh, develop a clear awareness of your skills. What are you actually good at? How could those skills solve problems for others or create value someone would pay for? Get creative.
Know your assets, basically, your personal assets.
Exactly. Okay, number 8 is interesting. Cultivate a strong belief that you can build wealth.
The mindset thing.
Yes. The book talks about that self-fulfilling prophecy. If you truly believe you'll never be wealthy, you probably won't take the actions needed.
Like that anecdote about Britt being told he could become a millionaire next door just through discipline?
Precisely. Mindset matters. Shift from thinking, I can't, to how can I? From scarcity to possibility.
Powerful stuff. What about where we live, who we hang out with?
That's 9. Be really aware of how your environment impacts your spending, your neighborhood, your social circle.
If everyone around you is spending big.
It's way harder to stick to your frugal plan. It's just human nature. Recognize those pressures and make conscious choices to maybe resist them or even change your environment if needed.
Peer pressure definitely doesn't end in school. Okay, number 10.
10th, value a supportive spouse or partner. Hugely important.
93% are married or remarried.
And say their spouse was critical to their success. Stable relationships often have economic pluses and, well, divorce can be financially devastating.
Yeah.
Having shared goals, mutual support, it's a massive asset.
Makes sense. What about passing this knowledge on?
11th,
Yeah.
teach your kids about money actively.
Oh.
The book gives examples. Involve them in budgeting discussions. Use allowances to teach management skills. If you model being frugal and talk openly about money in a positive way, it has a huge impact on their future financial habits.
Good parenting advice right there. Okay,
Yeah.
what about setbacks? Life happens.
12th, be resilient. Financial journeys have bumps. Lots of the millionaires studied face big challenges early on.
But they didn't give up.
No. They learned, they adjusted their behavior, and they kept going. Have a plan. Expect the unexpected sometimes, and don't let obstacles derail you permanently.
Good point. And reassuringly, you don't need to be Einstein.
13th, prioritize discipline and perseverance over, sheer brain power. The research consistently shows discipline, hard work, sticking with it. Those are linked way more strongly to financial success than IQ scores or fancy degrees.
Consistency beats intensity sometimes.
Often, yeah. It's about showing up and doing the work over the long haul.
Okay, finally, investing.
14th,
Yeah.
invest thoughtfully. Think long term. Don't just jump on bandwagons.
No hype investing.
Right. Do your research, make informed choices, understand it's a marathon, not a sprint. Stay calm during market dips. And related to this, seriously consider fiduciary financial advisors.
Explain fiduciary again.
They're legally required to act in your best financial interest. Unlike some advisors who might push products for a commission, a fiduciary has to put you first. Fee-only advisors often work this way.
Got it. That's a really practical list. It makes wealth building seem, well, doable if you're disciplined.
That's the idea. It's about behaviors anyone can adopt.
And maybe hearing some direct quotes from the book will really drive these points home.
Yeah, let's do that. They capture it so well.
Okay, here's one. Living below your means is just another way of expressing a mathematical equation, an equation that works regardless of changing political landscapes, economic environments, and fads. Simple math, right?
Exactly. And this one, the behaviors, habits, and lifestyles that are conducive to building wealth haven't changed in the last 20 years, and they are not dependent on the economic, societal, or technological concerns of the time. It underlines how timeless this stuff is.
Then about side hustles. Nearly 1/3 of all working Americans are moonlighters. Looking for multiple sources of revenue is a prototypical millionaire next door kind of behavior. Shows that resourcefulness.
And on ignoring trends, those who demonstrate high levels of social indifference across all consumption categories have a better opportunity to build wealth. That's that immunity to keeping up with the Joneses. This one's key. Income and net worth, of course, are related factors, but they are not equivalent. Focus on what you keep.
Yeah. And a warning. The greatest detriment to building wealth is our home neighborhood environment. If you live in a pricey home and neighborhood, you will act and buy like your neighbors. Environment matters.
This connects wealth and responsibility. Wealth is attracted to people who respect money, and respect for money includes the discipline required to manage it effectively.
And finally, hammering home the discipline point. It is hard to overemphasize the importance of discipline. If you lack discipline, the chances of you ever accumulating wealth are very, very small. Pretty blunt.
Wow, yeah, those really capture it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the absolute bottom line for you, our listener? Well, I think the core message is really this: building real wealth. It's much less about luck or a giant salary than it is about consistent, disciplined habits.
Especially living below your means.
Yes, living below your means, being frugal as a conscious choice, not a punishment, and developing that social indifference, tuning out the consumer noise.
And the really encouraging part, I think, is that this path, the path to financial independence, it takes work, absolutely, it takes discipline, but it's actually achievable for most people no matter where you start.
Totally. The research backs it up. Self-made is the norm. It's about understanding these strategies and then just consistently doing them, applying them in your own life.
So here's something for you to really chew on as we finish up. Take an honest look at your own daily habits right now. Which ones are actually helping you build toward your financial future?
And which ones are maybe just keeping you spinning on that consumption treadmill?
Yeah. What's just one small thing, one manageable change you could realistically start doing, like today or tomorrow, that lines up better with these Millionaire Next Door strategies?
Just one thing. Reflect on that. Maybe make that one change. It could be the first step towards the financial independence you're looking for.